If you're coming across this video, that's your sign to get your shoes on and go outside and come walk with me. All right, we are walking and we're talking. This last week, it's a summer thing. We had so many things going on. I'm completely off routine. It was like there was a thing every day. So the workouts were not getting in. I did some, but I completely abandoned my schedule. The food was all over the place. There were 2 days where I just binge ate for 2 days. Probably had like 24,000 calories each day. I did charcuterie for dinner because I was so just tired. I didn't want to make dinner. So I spent a bunch of money on fancy meats and cheeses and all just like really high inflammatory foods. So I did not feel good the next day, cured meats and cheese. And then we had leftovers. So then that continued on. And my stomach is not happy with me. And so I'm paying for that now. But I did my full workout today. And I'm walking up the hill and doing my little walk. And so I guess I will maybe just talk about where I'm coming from and maybe where I see myself long term and why I'm doing all this. I explained it a little in my first video, but I'll go a little more into depth. And don't worry, I won't be talking like this for the whole video. I just need to get up this hill. So I'm just going to pause it for a second. Okay, just about back to baseline here. So when I was younger, I was super active. I did soccer, I did cheer. 1 year I did volleyball. I really enjoyed sports. So, exercise was always a part of my life. And when I was in high school and when I was doing cheer, that's probably when I was the most muscular. And the funny thing is being a teenager and being super concerned with my body is I didn't like the way that I looked when I was like super bulked up because, I wasn't lean. So then when I started building all that muscle, to me, I looked like almost like chubby. But I'll put up a picture and you can decide. But I think I need to catch my breath. After high school, I didn't realize it, but I lost a ton of weight. I was living outside the home, and so now the grocery budget was really small. So I had lost fat, but really I didn't realize it until thinking about it now is most of my mass that I had lost was muscle. And then I had my first daughter when I was 21. And so my body started changing a little, but I bounced back. I bounced back from all my pregnancies really well. It's very, very grateful for that. But the stress of being a parent and largely being a single parent for most of my adulthood, I for sure leaned on food. That was always very comforting to me. And especially when, money was just in such short supply, having a good meal or having a full fridge just felt like so just secure. So I think that's when my bad eating habits started, because looking back, if I think about how I ate when I was a teen, I would have like 3 bowls of cereal a day, which, is not great, but it's fortified. So I guess that's good. And then I would do like a chicken salad sandwich for lunch. Or I'd make like chili from a can. And then whatever my mom was making for dinner. We actually ate out a lot. And when we didn't eat out, it was like starch. It was pasta and rice with some meat. But it was all, we were an ingredient household, as they call it. So we didn't have like readily available snacks to grab. That was pretty rare. And we always had non-fat milk. So when I would go to my cousin's house and have cereal with like whole milk, I was like, wow, the cereal even tastes better. It's crazy. So, all those things, my mom's habits largely contributed to me staying fairly thin. And then I got older. The work that I got involved in, a lot of it was working with kids. I was very active on my feet. At one point, I was working at a gymnastics center for kids with autism and other developmental disabilities. So it was physical. There were trampolines. I mean, we were doing stretching and running and obstacle courses. And so I've always had this built-in exercise. And then I moved, and I live in it's a small town, and I live in the rural part of town. So, so jobs are like not easy to find. And basically I ended up doing something that's pretty sedentary. And I didn't know how quickly that was going to sneak up on me. Also choosing to do graveyard shifts definitely created some further bad eating habits, because when you are starving your body of sleep, it's going to just start asking for calories, and it's wanting like a quick fix. So you're going to be craving sugar. And it's just, I would grab like a soda and a bag of chips, and be eating that at like 3 a.m. And sometimes I'd be like, especially on like the third night where I'm just spent, it's like I would grab chips and some cookies and a soda, or a coffee. And so that's when I started like becoming in like a complete calorie surplus, and I would start stacking on weight quick. And so this is what I looked like at that time, and I had never looked like this before. So it was, and because it happened, I guess, I knew because my clothes weren't fitting anymore that something wasn't right, but I guess I was clever enough to dress myself in a way that, I still looked okay to me. And then one day I was like, no, like I look really big. Something's wrong. This kind of snuck up on me, and I don't feel good. I was sleep deprived. I was eating empty calories. I was just so unhealthy. So I had my last baby, and I did bounce back like I normally do, except that I was already in a different starting point this time. So I was already about 10 pounds overweight. So I went back to being just about 10 pounds overweight after having her. And then, I tried doing some working out. I did some calorie counting, and I noticed even after 3 years, that stuff wasn't working the way it used to. And I really was like, okay, maybe I'm forgetting to put things down. Maybe I'm eating more calories than I think. And so I started getting really diligent. And I did find that I was doing that. Like I would forget about things. And so I wasn't in quite the deficit I thought that I was. But for the most part, I was on track. And so I was wondering why this just doesn't seem to be working. And I found out, so granted, I'm 40 now and the hormones are changing. That's a big part of it. But it is the lifestyle, which is the graveyard shift. And that lack of sleep is impacting really how much muscle I'm going to be able to build. And it's impacting overall health and hormone balance. So I do my best to try to recover that sleep, and hopefully, I can move on to a more normal schedule. But this just works right now because my kids are very young and I homeschool, and I want to be there during the day when they're in their waking hours. And so this is just the hard that I chose. So magnesium, that really seems like it has been helping, because one of the hard things about working graveyard for me was that I would come home and then I just feel like, well, I'm at home, and home is not my restful place. Home is my place where I've got a bunch of tasks that I have to do constantly. So my brain couldn't turn off to allow me to even lay down when I had an opportunity. So I wasn't sleeping the way that I should have been. And taking the magnesium has really helped a lot. So I recommend that to anybody who has those like anxious, couple of hours in bed and can't fall asleep. That could be something that's missing. But moving forward, like really what I want, I have 4 kids, I have 3 stepkids, and I just want to be around for a long time. I want to meet all of my grandkids. I want to, and not just, I don't want to be that ancient grandma who can barely hold the baby and, needs help holding her for the picture. I want to be active grandma. I want all of my grandkids to have a memory of me like doing something with them. I want to be cognitively alert, and I just want to be around for my kids and support them in this world as long as I can. And so I am taking this seriously, and I've had a kind of bumpy start, but I do feel stronger. And while I don't have everything in place right now in my lifestyle that I would like to, that will start evolving over the next couple years, so I can kind of like really bump it up to the next level. But I feel so strong. And even after going like the last 4 days without really working out and having this calorie surplus, I mean, I definitely am thick around my middle right now. But the funny thing is because I'm working out, it doesn't even bother me. I don't even mind the way it looks that much. Like it's all nice and firm, and it's kind of like how I was in my high school years, which I didn't appreciate, because I was actually really, really strong and healthy during my high school years. I was very fit. And I just got in my head about the way that my body looked compared to my friends. And that's one thing that I love about being 40, is just there's so much stuff that you're able to let go of, comparing yourself to other people, having to put makeup on to make a video for YouTube. I like to look nice, but like, honestly, it's just, sometimes it's like, you're not going to get the thing done if you spend all this time, primping, and it's just nice to be able to let go of that stuff. And it's also nice to not, and no offense to any men that watch this, but to not like feel like you're being targeted, when you're just walking around minding your own business. Because, nobody's chasing after the 40-year-old ladies, let's be honest. And it's kind of liberating. So that's my main goal, is just longevity, and I want to feel good, and I want to be mobile. And one of the things that really lit that fire under my butt was working in senior living, and seeing sort of the progression toward death, and how quick it is for people who don't exercise and for people who are overweight. The mobility is lost. By the time they reach 80, they need assistance moving. They're in wheelchairs or they have walkers. Fine motor is going. You just need help with everything. And that's not how I want to be while I'm here on this earth. I want to be moving. And gosh, the hardest thing to watch these people go through was reminiscing about when their bodies worked. Like, I used to dance. We used to go out dancing every night. I miss it so much. I can't even, I can barely do my dishes. And gosh, I just I've totally felt for those people. And I don't want to be sitting there reminiscing about when my body worked. I just want it to work until I die. I just want to get into bed one night and then it's just lights out. But I want to be making my own coffee every morning. I want to be doing my gardening. I want to be able to pick up my grandkids. And so I'm just going to do whatever I can. And I can't tell you enough. If you're my age or a little bit younger or even a little bit older, if you don't take the necessary actions right now, you will be one of those people that I talked about in senior living. And they were all deeply, deeply depressed. And I don't want anyone to live, the last 5 to 10 years of their life like that. So let's just get healthier. You might just get cancer when you're 65. But let's just do our best and try to be here for the people who love us. Thanks for walking with me today. I hope you liked this video. I would love to make more of them. And I'll see you guys in the next one.